Hey y'all, Bridget Bartlett here. So today I am going to simplify something that's really intimidating to a lot of people, and that is segmentation using if else conditional logic. So if you're like, whoa, this is too much for me today, I encourage you just watch because I'm really going to show you how cool this is, but also how easy this is to set up. Okay. Now, you see here that I have one workflow here. I have three different triggers. And then what I want to do is segment this out, but I need to create that condition. Okay. Now, in this example, I have three different membership areas or three different groups that I want to give access to. And I want to segment that based on whatever this trigger was in the workflow. So, why do you want to do this? It definitely reduces the amount of kind of friction. It also simplifies a lot of your workflows. It's so easy. Let's say if I change up my whole system and I want to create different emails that go out to people according to how they joined our membership program, then I want to segment that out so that I can send them those individual emails. If they register for the 200 free leads system, then they are going to go into this workflow. If they register and it's triggered for getting access to the visionary members area, then they're going to end up in this workflow and then certified partners in this workflow. So I want to walk you through how to build this out. Now, also keep in mind that you can really do some really advanced things. Okay. Now I could decide, okay, so if this workflow is triggered by giving access um, to the membership area of 200 free leads and we segment this out, I could even create an if else conditional logic here and branch this out even further. Okay. But if you're already overwhelmed by that, definitely stay with me here because I'm really going to make this super simple. All right. Now, to help you understand what's going on here, because you may be like, I'm lost already. I have no idea what you're even doing. Um, what I have built here is three different communities within my high level account. Okay. And I actually just created a new membership area. If you want to register for my free course to show you how to get 200 free leads using AI, you go to members.myvisionagency.com. You can also just go to bridgetbartlett.com, which is in the top right hand corner of the screen. So I have three different membership areas, but this membership area is for the members of our program. This membership area is for the certified partners who sign up through the high level certification program. Okay. And this one is for people who opt in, they're free members who opt in for that course. All right. So I need to keep those separate, obviously, because they're different levels of membership. So what I want to do is I want to go into my workflows here, and you'll see I'm in automations, and I'm just going to walk you through this process. We're going to create a new workflow. I'm going to start from scratch here. And I'm just going to give this a name here. So I'm going to say access granted. It seems like a simple thing, but you really want to be very conscious of how you're labeling things because when you go back to find that workflow where you're granting access to everything, this could be really hard to find if you're not really specific. So you want to say granted access, and I'm just going to say all areas. All right. So I know when I look at this that this is going to be the workflow for that. So now I need to choose my trigger. So what is going to make this workflow kick in to start working? Okay. So one trigger, I'm going to grant access to the membership area. Okay. So I'm going to choose that option here. And then now I want to filter this down. So I can filter by custom fields or by the group. So I'm going to choose group here and I'm going to choose is because I want to choose a specific group, but I could also choose empty or is not empty. So I'm going to say the trigger for this workflow is going to be when we grant access to a specific group. And now I need to choose that specific group. So I'm going to say the 200 free leads system group. Okay. Now that's not the only one, right? I want to build out that other grant access. So I'm just going to search for grant access. And again, I'm going to choose the filter and we're going to say this is going to be the certified partners only group. Okay. Now, I also need another grant access because we have three areas. So I'm going to say access granted to group is and we're going to choose the visionary members. Okay. Now, already we see a problem because I can't tell which is which without me clicking into each one. So you see where this says group access granted, you can actually edit this. And I really recommend that. Again, it goes back to the labeling of your workflows and just making sure that things are easy for you to find. Okay. So we're going to say, um, you'll see why when we go to the next step, why this is so important as well. So we're going to save that there and you'll see that it's updated there. Now I'm going to go here and I want to change this to be certified partners. Okay. And save trigger. And I want to change this to say visionary members. Okay. And save trigger. So now we have all of our triggers. I'm going to go ahead and save so I don't lose anything I've been working on. And now what's going to happen is anytime that we grant access to one of these membership areas, it's going to go to this little plus sign here. Now, if there's nothing here, nothing is going to happen. But if there is something here, then that's what's going to take place. So we could add tags here. We could send emails. I mean, if we just had one generic email that we wanted to send, we could just technically choose email and we could just send that email. Okay. But if we want to segment this out and we want specific emails that go out to each of those members as soon as they grant access, we need to choose that conditional logic. So I'm going to choose this step here and I'm just going to type in if, and you see this step that says if else. So here we need to choose a condition. So what is it that we're actually segmenting out? So this is just a name that we're going to give it. But again, it goes back to labeling all of our steps so that we know easily when we look at it what this is. So I'm going to say, what type of member are they? Now, the first type of member is going to be the 200 free leads. Okay. So that's what they have access to. And I'm going to choose my trigger. Okay. So what I'm doing now is I'm creating conditions based on what I just said, the action name. So what type of member are they? So if they go through our workflow and the workflow trigger is, and again, when we're choosing triggers, and there's so many different scenarios, and sometimes all of those different options get really overwhelming. But workflow trigger is really a simple one, especially for a case like this, because we're really just choosing how they came into this workflow. Okay. So for this scenario here, I'm going to say if the workflow trigger is the 200 free lead system, this is going to follow this condition. Now I can add a condition here and I could say, if the workflow trigger is 200 free lead system and they have this tag or and this workflow trigger and it's this day and time or and the contact has been through this workflow or has these custom values. So I could do so many things to segment that out within this condition. Okay, so you guys, if you're following along with me, type in following along. If you're lost, type in lost wherever you're watching so that I know if I've just completely overwhelmed you. Okay, so we can also do the or. Okay, so if I wanted to say, if this is the trigger of this workflow, or this, okay, or this is the event, or this is the tag. Okay, we could even choose that. Okay, so Charles is following along. Mayor is lost. Manuel is following along. Okay, so follow and lost. Okay, all right. I see a lot of following along. Okay, so definitely if you get stuck, let me know, and I can help you. Okay, so we have the workflow trigger here. So I do like to keep this super, super simple. So I'm not going to add another condition, but just know that if you did need to, like say if you want, when this trigger is, the workflow, it's granted for the 200 free leads and they have this tag or they have this tag, that's how you would set it up. Okay. But honestly, most of us really just need to keep it simple and say, if it's triggered, the workflow with this, then this is what I want to happen. Now, you could also create segments and say, if it has this workflow trigger and or, then do this. Okay. But again, it's just, I love to show you what's possible, but I don't want you to get overwhelmed by what's possible because most of us can just create like a simple branch that I'm creating today, and this will serve your purpose 90% of the time. Okay. So, this next branch that I'm going to create, I'm going to do the next membership area, and we're going to say certified partners. Okay. So now the workflow trigger is certified partners. Okay. So that's all I'm doing here. I'm just saying if it's triggered for the certified partner grant access area, that's what we want to be this branch. Now I'm going to add another branch here and I'm going to say visionaries. Okay. Because that's our next area. So I'm going to say workflow trigger is visionary members. Now we always have to have a none branch, so that'll just default like that. You could reorder the branches if you want to, but again, it's not really necessary. I'm going to save action. Now you can see that we have created our branches. Okay. So we have what type of member are they? So if you imagine these workflows with if else conditional logic, it's kind of like the workflows talking back to itself. Okay. So it's like, here we have these triggers. So now, like, our account is saying, hey, workflow, wake up. We need you to do something. And then the workflow says, okay, what type of member are they? And then now we're going to say, if they triggered with this, we want this to happen. If they triggered with this, we want this to happen, and so on. Okay. So now let's say with the 200 free leads, if we have granted access to the 200 free leads, this is what's going to happen. So let's say that we want to add a note because I love to add notes to all of my accounts. It shows up in their profile under their contact, and I can easily see all the actions they've taken inside of their account. So I'm going to say granted access to the 200 free leads membership area. Okay. And I'm just going to copy this to save time. So I'm going to do save action. Now on this next one here, I want to add a note here too. And again, this is not required. I just want to show you what the possibilities are. So I'm going to say granted access to the, and then I'm just going to say certified partners membership area. And instead of choosing that again, let's just copy this. So I'm going to copy here and paste. And we're going to just change this out to say visionaries. Okay. And this is, we always have a none branch, like I was saying, but I always like to put like a little note in here because automations are great, but they don't always work 100% of the time in the sense that maybe we set it up incorrectly when we're, still in the initial phases of using the system. Or if we just want to kind of double check our workflows at all times and make sure that we have everything functioning properly at all times. So what we could do is create a task here and we can choose whatever we want the task to be. So I would do like verify. And I'm going to say this contact was in the workflow for granting access and ended up in the dump branch. We'll just call it that. Okay. And then, of course, I'm going to assign this to the team member. I'm going to say when it's due. I'm going to say due immediately, and I'm going to save. So now what's going to happen is anytime we've granted access to this area, this area, this area, we're going to segment this out. So it's going to say if they came in this workflow this way, add this note. This way, add this note. This way, add this note. But if there's no trigger here, which there always should be, and they end up in this branch, we actually want to create a task for ourselves. Okay. So that's kind of how I've set that up. So that's why it's just so super cool that you can segment all of these out and then you can really build this out until you just want to stop. You could even add a different segments in here. So let's say if I decided here, they're coming in from the 200 lead system, but maybe I want to say, are they a current MVA member, okay, my vision agency. So then I can say, yes, they are. If they are, how do we tell the system if they are or not? So what I like to do is use tags. So I'm going to go into the contacts and I'm going to go to tags and I'm going to say includes. So if they have this tag, which says MVA membership active, then that's telling this workflow, yes, they are a member. So there's also, of course, the no, and I could use the dump branch if I want to, but I'm just going to create one that says no. And I'm going to say contact details, tags, does not include, and we'll just search MVA active and save. Okay. So now you see that we're branching out even deeper. So they've come in with the 200 free leads and we've added the note there. And now we're saying, okay, we've added the note to everyone who comes in with 200 free leads. But if they're a member of our program, what we want to do is we want to send an email. So I'm going to say send an email. And then we're probably going to say, hey, member, here's where you can access da 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 da. Right? But if they're not a member, then we want to click here and we want to say, hey, if you want to join, you can do da 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 da, right? And then, of course, we could always add tags. And of course, tags can trigger different workflows. There's really so many advanced things that we can do at this point. Okay. So I hope that really helps you understand how you can utilize the if-else conditional logic. I hope that it was not too confusing for you guys, because if you can figure out ways to streamline a lot of your processes like this, it just makes it so much easier when you go to update your systems, which you always will on a gradual basis. You'll want to update your onboarding, all the information in it, maybe update different links and all of that. And it's so great to just have the one workflow to go to. And then that all of the automations that are taking place here are up to date. Now, what's really cool too is in all of your other workflows, you can just send them to this. Okay, so let me show you what I'm saying here. I'm just going to save this. And I'm going to go into, let's just say, my HighLevel affiliate account. And let's say that every time I have a free trial, this is my actual workflow here. Every time I have a free trial, when they get to this point, what I want to do is I want to send them to that workflow or, yes. Okay. So I'm actually thinking if I got to this point in my workflow and I wanted to grant access to them, of course, I would do this, right? I would want to add the grant access, or what I could do is add a step to add to workflow, and then I could just send them directly there. Okay. So many cool ways to incorporate all of that so that you can really streamline. Like I was saying, streamlining is going to help you when you're scaling, because if you have one workflow with all of those different automations, like I said, it's really easy to update if you're doing A/B split testing to see which ones are working the best. Just trust me when I say it's going to save you so much time and frustration. Okay, so thank you all so much for joining me, and I will see you all tomorrow, same time, same place. Go make your vision a reality. Bye. Thank you so much for joining us for today's training. If you have any questions, you can join us for open office hours starting right now at bridgetbartlett.com. It's free and open to everyone, so I'll see you there.